Yo, yo, my sovereigns, what up? This is Boba Fett, uncensored on the internet, with episode 59 of Splinterlands 101. Joining us once again, co-host of the show, finest gentleman who ever lived, Matt Clark.
Howdy, howdy.
Here's Matt Clark. He's one of the finest gentlemen that ever lived.
Geo of the Geo Tricks, Geo.
Yo, yo.
And as our guest for tonight, you may have seen, if you saw the last episode, you saw that we brought a couple of big guns in from Shield of Glory to help Matt out a little bit, give him a bit of competition, as Gio and I have been getting bitch slapped pretty viciously for the last 3 or 4 episodes prior to that. And mission accomplished, Mr. Rogers. And so also from the Shield of Glory tonight, I'd like to welcome to the show Duce Crypto.
Thanks for having me. Nice to see you all here in Brooklyn, New York.
Yay,
Brooklyn,
cheers.
New York. Is Brooklyn a barrio or is it like a different part of the city? So is that like, Harlem or El Barrio? How does Brooklyn fit into New York for us Aussies?
So basically, New York City split into 5 boroughs, which are like 5 separate counties. So New York City is in 5 different boroughs. So Brooklyn is one of the 5 boroughs. The main part of New York City that everybody always talks about is Manhattan. So Manhattan is certainly the busiest. And definitely the most expensive borough. Queens is actually the biggest borough. And one thing that people commonly don't know is that Queens and Brooklyn are on the very western tip of that Long Island that stretches out into the Atlantic Ocean. So, everybody says, oh, Manhattan's an island, which is true. Staten Island, one of the boroughs, also an island. Queens and Brooklyn, part of Long Island. The only borough that's part of the mainland of the United States would be the Bronx. The Bronx is part of like the main landmass of the United States.
Wow.
But so yeah, I'm here in Brooklyn, about 10 minutes away from I guess what DJ Mag voted the greatest club in North America. So very excited. I go out and hear good electronic music all the time.
Electronic, nice.
Yeah, big fan. Gotta keep moving.
Yeah, a couple of friends of mine in Melbourne are producers. Back in the day, it was like, dubstep, when dubstep was finding its ground and everyone was experimenting with dubstep, finding what they could do with it.
Oh, Boba.
Yeah, Bob, you're cutting up real bad.
Damn.
You're cutting out real bad here, Bob. Sorry, mate.
All right. I'm going to
Duce
try
and I
not
have
to say
met
anything.
Tangled plenty of times. I don't think we really need him to come and kick in the saloon door and drag me out into the town square. He and I have gone. He and I have tangled plenty of times in the tier 3 brawls. He was just reminding me. We've gone to head because we had a similar sort of card collection. So it's good to see you in person.
For sure.
There's less swearing this way.
Yeah, it's kind of a bummer too. I don't recognize any of you all. A lot of or many of the players that I'm seeing, Diamond and Champ, I had the pleasure of seeing at Splinterfest, obviously for a very US centric crowd, obviously a lot harder for you all to come participate in that one. So hopefully, the next Splinterfest will be somewhere in your backyard, whether it's, on your island, somewhere, Indonesia, Philippines, maybe, where we have some bigger markets. But I would love to come to your side of the world for the next Splinterfest. That would be great.
Hell yeah. It would be.
Yeah. I'm pushing for Splinterfest Manila, but we'll see.
That would be interesting.
Yeah, it's certainly a good spot to run it. And there's a big player base there. There's already a pub there, isn't there, that takes dark energy crystals as payment?
Yeah. I think there is like a successful crew, and then obviously one player who has an account. I think he's also a streamer, but because they own a pub, they're like, hey, I'm just gonna work that into what we do.
We've had Bimo on the show. He's Filipino, and he said there's a lot of guys over there. They share resources, they share information. So yeah, no, Manila Splinterfest, I'd be down for that.
And they're big on that nifty arcade. I'll tell you, of all the places, it's definitely the Filipinos who've working together to get the decks and share strategy. I was in a guild for a few months with one of my alt accounts where I was working with a bunch of Filipinos, and it was really great. Learned a bunch about their culture, which was for me like really exciting, and just hearing how, like you said, how they'd share resources. How they swap cards back and forth. They would share rental lists. So what do I need to have a good effective Silver League deck, even though maybe I'm not using Silver League max cards. So really outstanding.
Real efficient they are. Make the most of everything.
Yeah.
And such a lively place, man. The Philippines, hey? Or all of that region, Asia, that region anyway.
Digging, yeah. So I was very lucky to be able to travel to Singapore, Vietnam, and Cambodia. It was part of a program I did to become a better math teacher. So we actually studied the education ministries of those three countries and saw how they were able to perform at such high levels. And obviously in the case of Vietnam and Cambodia, rather poor countries,
right,
with much bigger class sizes, fewer supplies, but they would always do really well when it came to like the standardized testing of mathematics. So it was like really interesting to see how math was taught. And I don't speak Vietnamese, I don't speak Cambodian, but inside of a math classroom, it was very easy to understand what was being taught because numbers and symbols are the same in any language. So I could immediately, walk into this classroom in Cambodia and I knew they were learning about linear equations, even though I understood very little of what the teacher was saying. I knew what they were talking about, graphing a line, point of intersection. I was like, this is neat, so, it was very much drove home the fact that, math is universal. Kids here in the United States. And we're back. All right, we're back.
I don't know if it stops recording while I'm gone or if it's still recording. Does anyone know?
It said it stopped recording and then it said it started again. So we're back.
All right. Yeah, I don't know. This has never happened before, by the way, Duce. So I don't know what the hell's going on.
Yeah. No worries, man. No worries. You're good. I thought it was pretty lucky of me anyway. I went to sleep, forgot to set an alarm. All of a sudden I woke up in the middle of the night, like, oh my God, what time is it? And it was perfect. It's like, 5:45. Great. I got 15 minutes to go in the other room, get set up, put all of her stuff away, change the inputs on the screen, move the mic around. We had to organize the office a little bit.
The whole setup.
Oh, you know it. Yeah, honestly, I haven't been on this computer in almost 2 weeks. So it's like, wow, I do have a desktop. It's nice. It's really, she just wants the monitor. It's a nice big monitor. And so, and then she plugs in her laptop. Now she's got 3 screens. She's living it up.
Real executive lifestyle.
Yeah. I mean, look, I can't complain. I have my laptop plugged into the television, so at the very least when I'm busy editing articles I can also watch Champions League football, which I'll tell you, it's nice being on a program with people outside the States. I can finally call world football just football, and you guys know what I'm talking about.
Absolutely. NFL.
Yeah. No, not the NFL. That's American football. I'm talking about the world football. Soccer. So I guess you guys have Aussie rules football. So you guys also call it soccer? You guys call it soccer too?
We call it we call the AFL football.
Okay.
And I guess we call football, circle ball, soccer.
Uh-huh.
But it depends who you
Okay,
ask.
that's cool. That's
It
cool.
depends.
Okay, so
Yeah.
And we call
how
American
does Her
football
Majesty feel
gridiron.
about or how does His Majesty oh the gridiron, got it. So is you guys so everybody's cool with you all calling it soccer? For a long time, I thought us in America, we always caught the stick because we call it soccer. Like nobody else
Uh-huh.
calls it soccer. So it's
It's
nice to know that well, I guess that's true, right? Your national team are the Socceroos. So like obviously you must call it soccer. And I've
Good
seen
yeah.
that
deductive
Aussie. I've
reasoning.
seen that Aussie rules football. That Aussie rules football. That's something else.
Yeah,
You guys
that's what
got
we call
yeah,
footy.
yeah, yeah. Your footy that's some game. I mean, I played some rugby back in high school. So
Wow.
when I saw the Aussie rules game, I was like, that's a lot. That's a lot going on. There's so many more rules. But I'll tell you, those games where the clock doesn't stop, love it. It's so un-American, right? We need our commercials, we need the timeouts and all these quarters. It's such a mess. I don't even have the patience to watch American sports anymore. I just give
Wow.
me the 45 minutes. I don't want the commercials. Just give me all the action. So I'm definitely a converted soccer lover. I'd always played the game, but obviously being able to watch in America, it's taken a while. It's taken a while.
Yeah, well, it's like you said, it's not as huge there, right? So the audience is probably a bit smaller.
So
Yeah,
We're growing.
excited then about GLS? Is that on your radar?
So it is on my radar. I definitely accumulated a bunch of GLX in those first 3 days, when it was like, priced at a penny, 2 pennies, 3 pennies. I was like, okay, I'll buy some now just for getting like 2,000% interest, for this first couple. But I don't have any packs. And so I basically thought to myself, well, I don't know if I'm gonna have enough interest to play and actively collect, but maybe I would rent a deck to check gameplay. Maybe I would buy some individual cards. Maybe I would just collect a certain team. So I didn't invest in the packs, but I did invest in GLX. And I don't sell any GLX, so I'm continuing to accumulate the game currency, but I did not buy any packs. I'm hoping one of my guild mates bought several thousand. I think they were the
Wow.
top pack holder for an individual, not like a group buy. Vugtis. So I don't know if you're familiar with the name, but he's a big investor, big gold foil collector. I think he's also Indonesian. Um, Definitely one of the only players in Shield of Glory that's actually Asia based. And so they have a bunch of packs. So I don't know, maybe they'll break me off some of their 24,000 packs, when it comes time to start playing. So we'll see. We'll see. I am excited about the game. I'm excited to see different soccer.
Yes, I'm the opposite. I'm the opposite from you, Duce. I'm stacking GLX and folding that back in, and also don't have cards. But I'm more interested in tower defense. I'm a big fan of the genre, and my wife is particularly great at the mobile games. So if I can get her off Candy Crush and get her earning a keep on
Please get her
the
off
tower
Candy
defense
Crush.
on Soul
Yeah.
Keep, yeah. So she doesn't pay anything for the Candy Crush. Happily, she's not one of those. But yeah. So, but as well myself, I just love the tower defense. I love that the hours I've lost to different TD games. If it's done well, one thing I really want is targeting priority for towers. So in the better tower defense games, you can actually, when you're clicking on a tower, you can set your targeting priority and say, okay, when you've got multiple targets within range, I want you to focus on the strongest one. or the one that's closest to the exit, or the one that's closest to you. So there's an extra like nuance there in the gameplay that comes with targeting priorities. So I'm hoping that'll be in there, if not originally, then at some point soon. But your first version's never going to be the way we end up. So I've got high hopes for tower defense. I think soccer will be great, but personally, I just don't have the interest in soccer. So
yeah, I got you. Well, let me ask you this: what are some other tower defense games that maybe I might recognize? Because I'm not really familiar with the genre at all.
So on mobile, balloons is probably the biggest one. You got monkeys that you put around the track, and balloons just come around, different coloured balloons. And if you pop a blue one, there's a red one inside it. So you've got to sort of hit that one twice. But there's a lot of like Kingdom Rush, little gremlins and goblins and the like. On PC, there's one that I played to death, and I actually recommended this to Hardpoint when TD was first recommended. I DM'd him and said, "Look, man, you've got to check this genre of game, this particular type of the tower defense style. It's called Gemcraft, and Chasing Shadows or Chapter Zero are probably the better versions. But this is just one guy who's just coding these games just for fun, but they are engaging on all sorts of different levels. So if you want to give tower defense a real good red hot on PC, I recommend looking up the Gemcraft series, and I think Frostborn Wrath is the most recent one that he's done. But that is, to my knowledge, the best example of the genre to date. On mobile, like a smaller screen, Balloons is great. I play Balloons quite a lot, and I know Aggro does as well. But Gemcraft is far and away my favorite tower defense game. But there's something really satisfying about, here's the track, I'm going to lay out my towers, I'm going to take them on, and there's a lot of, I think, similarities with what we have here with Splinterlands, where you set your team and then you've just got to kind of stand back, right, and watch it play out. You have to plan for what's coming up. And tower defense, you can see, oh yeah, I could put in towers. A lot of these games, you put in towers live, but you can only do that if you've saved up, or if you got money in the bank ready to do it. If you've got some dry powder for it. If not, then they're just going to roll past you, and there's nothing you can do about it. So there's similarities there. I know the tower defense game that we're working on, the Soulkeep, it'll be similar to Splinterlands, where you lay out your map and then you just hit go, and you've just got to watch it play out. You can't actually make any live updates, and that's part of the non-botting crypto. It's necessitated by the fact that it's a crypto game. They have to do it that way. But then when you've passed the level, you might lose 3 or 4 lives, enemies that got to the end, got to the gate. But then it'll say, do you want to take your winnings? And that will then deduct the ECR from all of the towers that you used. Or do you want to push on? Potentially sacrifice what you've earned so far, but go on to greater riches, or lose everything. So there's that
Double or nothing.
Yeah, it's a double or nothing, but it's going to get harder. How well do you think you did? And then, of course, if you say yes, I want to keep playing, then you'll be given the opportunity to take whatever you've earned and put it in-game currency, and put in another tower or two, or upgrade what you have. So I like that idea, particularly because I'm so drawn to that style of game, and also I am not I'm no match for some of the real like human computers that we have in Splinterlands. And I love that there's a way for them to be good and earn from this and to succeed, but I just cannot get in that headspace. I like to think I'm slowly getting better at the game, but then alpha tournaments are the only ones where I have hope, because nothing's changed there in however long. They still add a new rule set though, and then I'm stuffed again for another 6 months. So I'm not a fast learner. I'll get there eventually. So things like that, where and I'll come up against somebody and I just say, oh, this is not going to happen. There's no way I'm going to beat this guy. I've never beaten him. Maybe once in a blue moon, just completely on RNG. And so I like the idea that tower defense, I might get a few of those little dopamine hits of actually winning from time to time. So
I think the closest game to tower defense I've played, I don't even know if it is tower defense. That's how little I know about that genre of game. Is Plants versus Zombies.
That's a
I
great series.
It's
That's really
awesome.
good fun. It
Hell
is.
yeah.
It is. You'd say it's probably in that banner because you're putting static. You're investing. You're putting in a static
Yeah.
tower that then fires, but that's only through one sort of field. It's a single dimensional. You're just firing along that row for most of the plants. I've played Plants vs Zombies a lot too, so I do enjoy it. But it's that's the simple end of the genre.
Okay.
This is all new
I
to
think we've
me.
lost Bob.
No,
Oh,
no,
you still there, Bob?
yeah, I can't contribute. I know nothing on this subject at all. I mean, when tower defense first launched in the Splinterlands, I didn't even realize that it was a genre. I just thought it was something that they came up with until you clarified that point. So yeah, I'm just listening and learning. I guess
Yeah.
with
Nice. Well, lots to look
just
forward to there. So
yeah, with the internet problem, I've just got my picture up. I guess you can't see my body language to know that I'm like following along and contributing, but I'm here. If the connection continues to go well, I might try my video again. I just don't want to take the risk of getting cut off again. That's all.
Well, it does sound rather good at the moment. Deuce,
Let's try it.
Yeah.
Soulbound. You like it? How are you
Yeah,
liking it? How are you
I
finding it?
do. I do. Not only do I like it, it's brought a lot of excitement back into opening up those chests.
Hmm.
For a while I was rooting for potions because I had a glut of Chaos Legion packs that I wanted to open up. So I'm like, oh yes, I'm like so excited. Like, give me these potions. I need to open the packs. But about 3 weeks ago, I finally opened up all my Chaos Legion packs. So
Wow.
now it's exactly the opposite. Now I don't need any of these potions. I got no packs left to open. I just give me these cards. Give me the cards. I mean, SPS is nice. I could always stake more. But I'm really enjoying getting the soulbound cards, and then after each reward comes in, going to check the collection. Hey, can I level any of these up?
Yeah, man.
And I mean, for me, obviously, playing at Diamond and Champ, it'll be a while until these cards are leveled up to a place that I can use them. However,
Yeah.
I actively play a lot of Bronze and Silver League gold foil events. And so that's kind of fair game for these soulbound reward cards. I got bronze and silver league cards in gold foil. So when it comes to these tournament and brawl environments, I'm finding myself more able to use some of them right away.
A lot sooner. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. The martyr ability is strong if you can put it in the spot that is going to get killed early in the battle, so you could take advantage of it. I've been loving having a camouflage monster, and then having my martyr sitting right in that as a rear tank, so that when it dies on a sneak attack, it will not only boost my camouflage monster, but then obviously it'll boost my new rear tank. So I've been loving that. It's just letting Dr. Blight gear up with another speed, a little bit more magic attack. Like it's been really nice. And you
I
do
like
the
that a
same thing
lot.
with Snipe. Yeah, same thing with
Yeah,
Snipe too. It works out really well with Snipe.
That's fantastic. I would not have thought of that. I'm liking that a lot. I use Fungus Flinger as the martyr card even in Diamond, and I've only got him at level 4, which is great. I pulled 2 gold foil in that combined to get him to level 4. But
Nice.
just that martyr ability, because I massively overuse Last Stand with Llama, and so a Last Stand Flesh Golem or a Last Stand Spirit of the Forest, if it's 14 mana and target practice, close range.
Yeah.
First range, first
Yeah,
position.
where they can fire from. Yeah, so often I'll do that. I had one the other day. It was no magic, 14 mana, close range. No, it was 17 mana, close range, no magic, and I put Fungus Flinger right up the front and Spirit of the Forest behind him at the Llama summoning. And so when he died, obviously straight up, he gave Marta ability to the Spirit of the Forest. Then she got Last Stand. She's got like 15 speed, and with no magic cards, they're firing at her all
Missing.
day and just missing. We actually ended up getting to fatigue. I think they had armor repair there, so she wasn't able to crack through. But and things like that, so satisfying. So even though he's only level 4, I'm still finding in Diamond I've got room for the Fungus Flinger definitely in a lot of my teams. Don't always win, but it's good fun. So yeah, and I hear what you're saying about the excitement though, because I'm pulling it a lot off rentals. So if I want a card, I can generally just go and buy it. So it's meant that reward cards until recently, regular reward cards have been, even if it's a gold legendary, you sort of like, oh yeah, that's good. I'm glad I pulled it. Don't get me wrong, but it's not, yay, this is great, because it's just I could have saved up for a few days and just bought it anyway. So now that they're cards that you can't trade, there's that extra, like you say, that can I combine these yet? And I've been doing that with gladiators for a while, as I'm sure you're the same. Pull it and hang on, is that enough to? And so having that excitement there with reward cards as well is it's good. I'm really enjoying it.
So much fun, for real. And,
I really
and then
liked-
who's
Go on.
taking it? Okay, yeah. So also when someone pulls like 3 gold foil legendaries, you're like, fucker. Why wasn't that me?
I haven't opened a single legendary gold foil or regular foil until the very last day of the season. I got a single, I think one of the water life leech monsters. But I'll tell you, I got one of my guildmates. They already have 2 of the 6 legendaries at Gold League. They opened 2 of the 6 and they got the triple gold foil, right? So all of a sudden they already have it at Gold League, and they're only 1 gold foil away from having it maxed out.
Oh man.
And he's got 2 so I mean this is the same guy who also opened a gold foil Lux, so it's like what's good with this guy sitting around? You gotta figure out what's up with his server. Like
who is this guy?
He's got some Luis Magic. What's his handle is like X Sewell X. Basically it's X and then Luis spelled backwards, but also misspelled. And then another, he's kind of like the guy who does outreach for our guild. So like when we're like recruiting or like building up, when we started building up some alternate guilds in the kind of Kingdom of Glory, that's kind of like his idea to bring some new players in. So he's helped some of our old hands to recruit new players to the guild.
So I was talking mostly of Sinistry when he was doing the whole Kingdom of Glory. Because we had Sinistry on the show a couple of times, and I really love his wit and his humor. So
he's good. He's got a good dark humor to him, and
absolutely.
Obviously Mr. Rogers, he's a great guy all around. So you guys have certainly picked up some of our more fun players to have on the show.
Yeah, you've got some good chemistry in Shield of Glory for sure. And what I was going to mention earlier is I really liked that game that you dropped into Discord, where you were combining redemption and resurrection. For sure, your Redemptor got killed 3 times, I think, in that battle, resurrected twice, and each time, boom, 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 through the enemy ranks.
Yeah.
But I tried something similar not too long ago in a brawl, and I copped the opposite end of that. At the end of the battle, their Grum hit me, took out my last card, hit for 22 because he just kept taking out my resurrected cards. So there's another side of that coin, but yours worked out so well. That battle worked out so well.
Yeah, I can imagine that strategy is a little less good when there's a lot of bloodlust running around, whether it's Grum or any other gladiator. It's got to be a little bit tougher in Brawl, but yeah, I've been loving Astral Entity, the new Death Summoner.
I haven't used it.
I mean, uh, I love playing Death. It's probably my favorite Splinter, just because of the different channels of gameplay that you can use to kind of counter your opponent's strategy. And so, Thaddeus Breed was the first Chaos Legion summoner that I maxed out. I really liked its versatility, but when I started getting some of these other summoners, I realized, oh, it wasn't really that versatile at all. Like, losing the 1 health was okay, but the magic attack wasn't great, because there's 2/3 of monsters it doesn't affect at all. And so the Astral Entity is a really good complement to Thaddeus, because that dodge ability really comes into play against melee and range. And so, if you suspect a stronger magic team, I'm going to go for Thaddeus. But if I think you're going to do a lot of, range and melee attack, then Astral Entity is a good choice. So really, between those two summoners, you kind of cover a lot of the base strategies that your opponents can choose. So, I found that Death in general has become a lot easier to use more often, just because the way those two summoners complement each other.
Let's take a look at that.
Yeah. Whereas
It's,
conversely, you think about like Life, right? General Sloan and Ilthade, they're like opposites. I guess Wraith, does give you a nice complement. One is very magic focused, one is range focused. But yeah, oh yeah, look at this lineup. I love it. I love
I'll
this
just bring up
lineup.
the rule set so we can talk about it. Well, I just loved this game. I absolutely loved it. It just gave me, some games just give you ideas. Have you seen this one, Matt? Yeah.
No, I don't think I watched this one.
All right.
Duce and I were talking earlier in Discord, and it came up that dodge is a handy way in reverse speed, because his AE doesn't give any speed boost. You can use it in reverse speed and still get dodges because
Oh,
the
yeah.
dodge. Yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah.
And here,
let's have a watch.
obviously, yeah, here, obviously, regardless if it's my tank, if it's my sneak position, if it's my snipe position, I'm happy with resurrecting any of those 3 monsters, whether it's next to redemption or even the value you get from the void armor of the Jinn.
All right. So watch it. This is so good to watch, especially with Almo at the front. Like trying to hit Almo is hard enough, but it's just worked out so well, in my opinion. There goes first redemption.
And the reflect of Murat.
Sure, Jin,
Jin
yeah.
Yeah, really
Such
strong.
really good card. Not
Yeah.
used very often, actually.
There goes the
Not
second
I don't
redemption.
see him. Yeah, I don't see him all the time.
3 redemptions. It's just like
Yeah, look at this.
devastating that team. Yeah.
It was like your version of sneak and snipe, right? It's just like hits the back and everyone
Exactly.
in the back, right?
Everyone, yeah.
Yeah. It's even more effective.
Especially when you got a somebody like Dr. Blight who's gets that scavenge, right? So he's just getting stronger and stronger the more you take out the opponents.
Yeah.
And your own cards too. I mean, every one of those resurrects now is adding to the scavenge of Dr. Blight. Look at how juicy he is now.
Exactly. Yeah.
That
Love
was
it.
just a classic game, in my opinion. Yeah.
And it's great how you took out all the divine shield as well. I mean, you got to remember that's like a whole nother armor for everyone.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Redemption's good one. And of course, you didn't know.
oftentimes now I'll find myself
Go ahead.
so oftentimes I'll find myself, especially against someone where I suspect they'll run Akelia, or if I know they're going to run maybe like an additional armor monster, well, I might run the Weirding Warrior in addition to Astral Entity, just to make sure there's absolutely no armor on their team. Right.
Good
So,
point.
I'm not just using one rust, but I'm using like a double rust. And I've also found, the Weirding Warrior, I really love that monster. Having uh the amplify ability on such a small costed monster, I think is great. Having the rust on there is fantastic. Obviously, the shatter really helps. If there's a monster with a lot of armor, a lot of shields. So I'm using that comp a lot, and also Immortalis. I got to say, like these last two summoners that have come out, I find myself using them a ton. And I have Wraith and Yasik too, and they have their spots, but I think they're a little bit more limited. But these last two, like super versatile. You can use them in a lot of different situations.
If I'm anticipating magic in incoming magic damage, Immortalis and then Mushroom Seer are like such a good, potent combination, because Mushroom Seer does silence and he's dropping poison. So he's that plus the void from Immortalis it just nullifies so much of that incoming magic damage. I love it. I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
I haven't
Very
used
strong.
either of those two yet. I got my very first ever airdrop card with Immortalis, and it was a gold foil Immortalis.
Nice.
But obviously, for that reason, I just can't afford to level him up. So he's just renting. He's on my rental account, renting out at the moment. And I didn't get an Astral Entity, so I haven't played either of those two yet. Geo here got a gold foil of each.
Nice.
Astral Entity
Yeah,
and
I was-
Immortalis. Yeah.
with like 300 and something packs, so I was not guaranteed even a common.
Wow, that's a nice open.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I got really lucky. Real good.
What did I do? I think I got up to like an even amount of Chaos Legion packs. I took like, what was it, 675 and like multiplied by 3. So at least I would have like a level 2 summoner of all of them.
Smart, yeah.
But yeah, I'm trying to think. I think Immortalis was the only one I got a gold foil of as well. So I was lucky to get that one. Which
So did Matt.
look,
Wow, what happened with
everybody got one?
Immortalis? Gold foils for everyone.
Everybody, which is great.
Yeah.
I need at least one for Brawl, right? I brawl at silver gold foils. You need one gold foil legendary to be able to play a legend at Silver League. So I need at least one of all the summoners. So I gotta have them available to me. At least for modern, I basically have like everything Chaos Legion, rewards, Rift Watchers. I haven't really invested a ton into Untamed, and I have only a few wild cards. So I think it'll be exciting when we have Rebellion and we see our first kind of like modern rotation. As a former Magic the Gathering player, I'm very used to sets and formats rotating all the time. So I'm really excited to see what that does to the Splinterlands economy, what that does to game strategy, how that affects the numbers you see playing modern versus wild. I think maybe when Untamed rotates to become wild, you might see some more players starting to play wild, because I think the numbers show now, right? You have more players playing modern than wild, and I guess that wasn't always the case when the format split, but I think we've finally seen that the shift of the population move to play modern more frequently.
I think too, it's something that I'm fascinated to watch, and I definitely agree with what you're saying there. is people who arrived during Chaos Legion and never got the chance to get those Untamed cards, like yourself, Llama, Jotun, those sort of heavy hitting, those big important cards from Untamed. And I think a lot of those people are going to be more enthused about Modern when Untamed goes away.
Yeah,
Because they've got Chaos Legion set now. They're all up and running. They've got the cards they want at the level they want. Rebellion comes out, everybody's blank slate. We're all starting from the same, having nothing. But they're not playing constantly having to come up against these Untamed cards that they never got and never can have. I can see a real renaissance there in Modern coming up as those people re-engage and get re-enthused about the game. Just as many as the number of people who love Jotun and Llama and follow them to Wild.
Yeah, I fully agree. Yeah, I think that was always my thing with this new player experience is like, let's just get it right so that when Rebellion comes out, it's in a good place, because I fully agree that we're going to see newer players really feel more empowered when Untamed isn't in Modern anymore, and like,
sure.
oh well, now I got everything in the collection. Now everybody's going to race to buy Rebellion, to kind of fill out that Modern collection. And so I think that's going to be great. I think that's going to be great for the new players who want to have like a more stable footing. Obviously, the Chaos Legion cards will be easier to get a hold of than the old Untamed cards, but also it's going to create this really cool effect of people frantically buying up their first chance of Rebellion to have the latest cards for the Modern format. So I think both of those aspects will be really great for the game economy with the new players and the chase for the new Rebellion cards, because they'll have a bigger impact in Modern because it'll be a smaller format.
And there's so many sets now that will be for, that format, the new format. You have Rift Watchers, you have the new Soulbound reward cards, you have you have Rebellion coming up, you have the current set. Like, there's a lot that we're gonna have that we'll be able to play with.
And the guys who arrived for Rebellion and are then priced out of Chaos Legion, they'll be the new whipping boys, right? All the guys who've been getting flogged by the Untamed cards will be like, now it's my time to shine.
Right.
You can't afford these Chaos Legion summoners and cards. Shoes on the other foot.
That'd be a nice feeling. I haven't been in that position.
I don't have a huge Untamed collection. And when you guys were talking before, it was like, the skip to results summoners. So for the new Rebellion crew, who are going to be the Chaos Legion skip to results summoners, you think?
Oh man,
Too early to know.
I'm just hoping. Like, I'm actually super hyped for the new Dragon Summoner. I hope that's amazing, because I will get that maxed out. I already have. I've already put I've already put things aside for it. I've already put the cash. Oh, I have. I'm ready. And if I feel like it's like excellent, no brainer. I'm gonna do it.
Yeah,
it's the last one, isn't it? The last Chaos Legion airdrop. See, I've got Archmage Arius, and so he kind of fills that niche, that heavy dragon summoner. So I'm like, it's all right, but I guess we'll see how it looks.
But here's the thing, I reckon Dragon, aside from Lux, which is just awesome for everything, is the most important summoner. Dragon.
Agree. For sure.
Absolutely. It gives you the best bang for your buck, and it just allows you to play way more. There's much more variety. It's just the best.
Yeah, I know if I've got a rule set of either odds or evens or no neutrals, if Dragon's available, I'll always go Dragons. So I've got those extra cards to choose from when I'm picking my hand.
Absolutely, man. That's how I feel anyway. If you can, max out your Dragons. Why not?
Yeah. And I was quite late coming into Dragons. I got my quicks quite quite late in the game. For most
Better.
of the time, I just didn't play dragon because I had a Selenia Sky who's level 2. So again, that's outside of the. And once I decided to start playing in gold, it was like, well, now I can't afford to level up the dragon summoner. So, and every time with the old quest system, when dragons came up, I just like skip and go to the re-roll to get to the next quest. But yeah, Geo talked me into buying a Quicks, so I bought a Quicks.
You gotta, man.
Yeah,
Have to.
yeah.
It's just a
So
must.
I have been enjoying the dragon, but I don't have a dragon heavy deck though at this point, other than the reward
400
cards.
and you're looking at $415 to max a Quicks in gold, and
Yeah.
about half that, $209, is the cheapest max in regular.
Yeah.
But 3 years from now, people will go, "Oh, I can't believe you could pick up a max gold Quicks for less than $1,000."
1,000. Yeah. Agree.
I tell you now, 3 months ago, less. Quicks was going for $11, $12.
Yeah. The gold foil was 80 instead of 100. Yeah.
Think about that, man. How cool. We had our opportunities.
Yes.
And we took them. We took a lot of opportunities,
did.
right? We're all here because we're taking these opportunities.
Yeah.
100%. You
Yeah.
know it.
Yeah.
I bought more. I've purchased more cards from Chaos Legion than I have from all the others combined. So I've dropped a bit of more dry powder into Chaos Legion than I have any other part of the game.
And you were telling us before the show started, Duce, that you how you got in, how you started your initial investment.
Yeah, I mean,
Splinterlands.
I'm a Magic the Gathering player, right? I've been playing Magic the Gathering since I was in middle school. So basically when the game started in 93. And so, for me, I like to focus on one game. I'm not into a lot of games. I played Magic and that was pretty much like the only competitive collectible game I would play. And so a friend of mine who I used to travel with when we would go and play on the competitive Magic the Gathering tournament circuit, he's like, oh, you got to check out this game, Splinterlands. It's like, remember what you loved about Magic with the buying and the trading. Well, in this game, you can rent out your cards because it's on the blockchain and you win prizes every battle you win. I'm like, okay, I'm going to check this out. And after about like 3 days, I was like, this is great. I went home to my parents' house over Thanksgiving, and I went home and I was just thinking about, these like thousands of dollars worth of Magic cards just sitting in my mom's closet. I don't get to play them. Sure, they've appreciated over time, but where's the utility? So I sold 2 cards. Two like old cards from 93, and got $20,000 and basically invested it into Splinterlands and a bunch of different game assets, mostly cards, just because I loved the idea of being able to not only collect, but then help other people to play the game by then renting out those cards. That was something I loved being able to do with Magic. Like, oh, I'm not using the deck. Let me lend it to a buddy who can also play in this tournament. But unless you know the person really well, there's too much value just to be handing this person a $5,000 deck of cards. Didn't love it, but the way that everything, yeah, exactly. But the way things are done permissionless on the blockchain, it's so perfect. I don't have to worry about forgeries. I don't have to worry about condition. They move around really quickly. And I found the strategy, just like the quick hitting games, obviously a little different than when you sit down at a table across from someone to play a 45-minute best 2 out of 3 match of Magic the Gathering. So
turn-based.
Yeah, for me, this was a no-brainer. I loved the format. I loved the strategy. I loved how quick it was. So yeah, and that was 15 months ago. I decided to get started. I've been in crypto for a while, so that wasn't the technology leap wasn't too big for me. I've certainly learned a lot about Hive blockchain that I didn't know before. And so yeah, it's been a great experience, and I'm really glad I made the leap into Splinterlands.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, basically, the one thing that I would like to see Splinterlands maybe improve on would be some of that high level tournament play. That's what really drew me into Magic, was that high level competition. And we currently have that in ranked. And I really love the competition in Brawl. Brawl's got to be like my favorite aspect of Splinterlands right now. But I've been talking with Weirdbeard, who runs the competitive tournament program for Splinterlands, and what we need to do to really take the tournaments to the next level. So I think maybe draw in some more competitive players who are busy playing other games, whether Web 2, Web 3, blockchain, PC, what have you. But I think that trying to draw in that competitive crowd, it's really going to take some like high level tournament play to draw that money in, to draw the people who want to compete for the highest prizes.
Yeah. I find it cool, man, like how you you funded this TCG card game with another card game. That's dope.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
have sort of a similar-ish story, but nowhere near to the actual amount that you sold just 2 cards for. I used to play Yu-Gi-Oh! I sold all my physical cards, and I maybe got maybe 1,000 AUD, which is like maybe 750 USD for all of that. And these are cards that I just bought years ago and whatever else. And yeah, I just like, you know what? eBay, here you go. And yeah, so it was pretty cool, to fund an actual, yeah, I like that. It's a cool story. Yeah, it's great.
For sure. And once you're into Splinterlands, there's so many ways to earn inside of the Splinterlands ecosystem that you can just continue to reinvest. So,
Hmm.
I DCA a little bit every 2 weeks for my paycheck. Because look, I get paid. I work in crypto. I get paid in crypto. So it's really hard when I'm getting paid in USDC, and I could just really simply, it's a lot easier for me to just send the funds over to Pancake swap into some DEC or SPS. Like, it's a lot easier for me to get my funds into Splinterlands than it is to get it back in my bank account, right? I gotta trade for USD. I gotta wait for it to deposit to my bank. Let me just keep the fun internet money. It's so much easier for me to just put the funds back into Splinterlands. So I'm DCAing a little bit with every paycheck, and having to decide, what assets do I need this month? Am I going to invest in cards? Am I going to invest specifically in gold cards for brawls? Am I going to try and like max out a new card? And is there anything that I could sell or trade? So it's really interesting. So I basically wrote up a little contract just for family and friends, so nothing too official. But I wanted to be able to buy some of these game nodes back when they were priced at $3,000. And so I was looking at the returns that were guaranteed, whether that, SPS and the vouchers. And so I did some basic maths. I was like, well, if they're $3,000, 10% is 300. Divide that out by 12 months. That's like $25 a month. Okay, so like basically, I raised some funds. Both my mom and my sister decided to invest the 3K, and I pay them $25 a month, first of the month. Just send them out on Venmo, whatnot. And but the beauty is that when we were buying the assets, the sticker price was 3K. But after the vouchers and the discount you got for those assets, it came to, I think maybe it was like 16 and change at the time. So I basically ended up buying 2 nodes for each of them. So I've made double that monthly fee. So my hope is that by the time the 3 years are up, I said I'll give them another 2-year extension if they want it. but otherwise I could just return the money, and then I should have enough saved up over the 3-year term to then just buy out the underlying asset based on the value I've received and then reinvested over time. So things are looking pretty good still. Still earning over like 30 USD a month on each of the nodes. So so far so good, and it provides me the opportunity to partner up with some of the other people in my guild, and so we have a good number of nodes owned within our guild, and so then I think we'll have 1 or 2 guild servers that will then be able to delegate these validator nodes too. So part of what got me excited about investing in the nodes wasn't just the payout from them, but being able to secure the network and really work with my guildmates to have that role and provide that safety net to validate the transactions now going on the SPS chain.
So I might have missed this earlier. Are you like using a server farm, or you got your own servers up and running at the moment?
No, in fact, we'll likely use the servers of one of our bigger guildmates. So there are some other guildmates who do run servers. I think they're like Hive witnesses. So because of their role with Hive, it just obviously running in running the node network, or running these validator nodes, just made sense for them. And so I might not have even bothered getting involved in the validator node if I did not have someone I knew I could partner them with once the software went live.
Who could host it?
Exactly. Oh, I think between Azurkhan and Fogtis, those guys will be running a server of their own. So
big names.
Yeah, it'll likely be with one of those two. And similarly, there are a lot of people in Shield of Glory, or our bigger guild network, the Kingdom of Glory, that have picked up nodes with the idea that we will be able to kind of pool those resources and post a fairly large validator network of our own.
And if you have the staked SPS to do it, you might be in a position to vote one of your own into one of those voted positions as well.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Obviously, I think Azurkhan is the only one who I think is outspoken enough to want the role, and who's like widely known. I myself certainly never bashful to share my opinion and speak up, but I haven't been around as long. Clearly, I'm not an established name in the community, so it wouldn't really help to throw my name in the ring. But Azurkhan, I think, is a great asset to the Splinterlands community. He's a big Hive witness as well, so he's invested in the Hive blockchain. He's also been around from the beginning, and he loves the strategy of the game. He loves the gameplay. He really does like what the game fundamentally is about. So I think having him on our team and in our guild made me much more comfortable, not only to invest in the nodes, but just having someone to speak up and represent our interests. Because I will say that a large number of the players we have in Shield of Glory are big investors. Most of us play at max. Most of us have alt accounts that we have scholars playing for us that are also max for a specific league. Now that's not myself. I tend to just invest in my one main deck, and then if I have extra packs and things, I'll throw it to a side account. But I would say that maybe our point of view might not be the majority point of view. Most of us probably fall in that 1% of high level expensive accounts. But all the same, if you look at just like an who's owning the assets versus who owns the accounts, I would say that represents a fairly large number of just the assets in the game.
It's a good reminder too in time. I need to review my witness votes. I haven't checked mine for maybe a year, so I need to have a look and pull a few and redistribute a few, and I'm definitely going to have to give Azarcon a vote on the witness as well. So yeah, how often do you review your witness votes, Matt?
Holozor is actually my proxy.
Okay.
So he keeps an eye on all that for me, and I just sort of proxy to him and follow along with what he's doing. So every 6 months or so, I tap him on the shoulder and say he's still keeping up with it, and he's always across it. So
Yeah,
I sort of trust his judgment when it comes to technical stuff. So, and we're good close mates in real life. So
yeah. No,
Nice.
I've got to review mine tonight. It's been too long, and I've seen Azarcon quite active. He's actually given us a couple of upvotes on the show a couple of times too. He's quite well vested in Hive, I must say.
Nice, for sure.
So yeah, I'll give him
Those
my
upvotes are
couple of
nice.
votes. Yes, indeed
For
they
sure.
are.
Tag that shield of glory. Well, make the Hive reign.
Yes, indeed. So shall we do some battling? Or do you have anything particular you want to talk about? Duce, I mean, this is your show. This is all about you. Is there something you want to talk
Anything
about?
that
Or?
I want to talk about. I think, well, we've covered the new Summoner, we've covered the Soul Bond. I mean, I love Brawl. I think that for me, that's one of the most, I think, one of the purest elements of the game. You're competing for your teammates. You're in these kind of like very specific league settings, and like everybody's kind of has their specialty. So I think that that's really cool to kind of fight for the cause for the team. And in turn, obviously the Gladius cards that go along with that, I think that's great. I don't think this show is long enough to get into the automated player issue, that I think, kind of polarizes the Splinterlands crowd at times. But I will say this, I love how active not only Azarcon, but Mr. Rogers and some other players in my guild in pursuing real scholars to play their alt accounts. So instead of using some of these automated scripts, or we call bot services, that they've gone out and they're likely playing a slightly more in the revenue share just to be able to support players playing the decks instead of the bot. So I think that certainly, given the time, I'd love to give a shout out to Azarcon, Mr. Rogers, Luis, and some of our other players who have taken the time to invest in players, not just their decks, but invest in players by delegating them and giving them scholar accounts, and not just automating them through a bot service. And in turn, I think it'll be those same high level players when it comes to these big purses, these big tournaments, that really help, I think, Splinterlands get a hold in the esports and kind of like a more general, more popular game environment, that making sure that these high level tournaments are free from automated hand pickers, botting services. I think that will be key and kind of like the next leg up for Splinterlands. So I do think there's a place in the game to have accounts that are run by AI, just so we have competition out there, so we have people playing in ranked. But I think for the success of high level and especially competitive play, we just need to do something to make sure that players are playing without unfair outside assistance. And but to be honest, I really love where this game has been going over these last 3 months. Obviously, there was a little bit of caution when we hit that bear market, and then the Chaos Legion sales had stalled a little bit. But I think we're basically through to the other side, right? Chaos Legion's going to wrap up. People are going to get real crazy about the Chaos Legion cards. Then, once people shift from Chaos Legion, they'll start talking about Rebellion. People start managing their collection for that format rotation we were talking about. So people are going to have to decide, what am I going to do with my untamed cards? How am I going to handle what's new? And of course, we have the new games around the corner. I think it's going to be really interesting to see how people prioritize new money into the ecosystem and how they now split that between Splinterlands, Tower Defense, and the GLG game. So that's the one thing that I think will be interesting to see over the next 3 to 6 months is where the inflows are coming from and how they affect inflows to the other game assets that we have.
I can see a big crunch coming with card supply because I have a lot of cards up for rent at the moment, but when I can, I'm going to be moving pretty much all of them onto land plots. Mm-hmm. So what happens then to scarcity in the rental market, right? Now, if you want one, you're going to have to pay whatever you have to in order to rent one off one of the few guys who's still renting them out, right? And who isn't using them on land. So I can see a lot of the demographics changing. And if all of that happens before Rebellion drops and the price of CL cards has gone right up, then we could be looking at a perfect storm where people look and say, wow, my card that I bought a year ago has gone 25, 30x. That gets attention, right? And that then becomes its own fuel to spur on more adoption. And then you get the frenzy coming in, and we have room to grow. And I think what I'm really looking forward to is when we hit that sort of critical mass where there are enough eyeballs here that advertisers start sponsoring tournaments and throwing big money into the prizes for tournaments. And they say, look, I got my product. I wanted to get it in front of these 10 million viewers who are scrolling through the tournaments board. I want to, and for only $100,000, I can get the same sort of penetration and eyeballs that I would get for a substantially more expensive TV run of advertising. I don't have to pay to make ads or anything like that. I've just got to put up the prizes. And not only am I advertising to a massive big player base, but also these are the guys who are tech savvy. These are the guys who've got a bit of spending money. There's not just some random schmuck on the couch, right? This is somebody who's actually here, is engaged. He knows how to manage his keys. He's got his, there's all these qualifiers. So these aren't just any old eyeballs. And I can really see this really hitting its stride when it becomes apparent just what a great deal it is to put your name on a tournament and put even $10,000 worth of prizes and just say, here it is. Here's $10,000 worth of whatever, other crypto tokens, whatever you got. Throw it in there, get that brand recognition. We got the streamers, we got YouTubers, we got all sorts. Your logo is going to be there in the background of all of the streams that they're putting up, as well as the people looking for tournaments. Also, there's your logo in the background.
Right.
You've named it, right? And so for the bang for your buck, I think when that really hits home and we get a few good examples of that, then they're going to be coming out of the woodwork. Permissionless. Just all you need is your 2,000 dark energy crystals to throw up a tournament. No one can even stop you. You don't need anyone's permission. Go for it. And all that money coming in is then going to be bolstering the value of the cards, the land, everything. So, yeah, I'm very, very much bullish. I mean, I have been for years, but I get what you're saying. The last few months have been difficult, but I'm seeing those green shoots all over.
Yeah, for sure. Sure, it's very exciting.
Just from an advertising perspective, I mean, how much airtime would $10,000 buy you? Nothing.
Not much.
Or even a major sports event, like $10,000 isn't going to get you anything. But yeah, in this, you've got how many people seeing your logo?
Are any of you regular contributors to Splinterlands TV. Do you guys check out Splinterlands TV at all?
I've never gotten into live streaming myself, because just like so much can go wrong. So I have the utmost respect for those who are. I need to get more involved at some point with Twitch. But even when I do my chest openings, like just switch. I'm a little bit slow in some areas, just like switching screens and doing things. Like there's a little bit of editing involved there. So doing something live without editing, it's a step I haven't taken yet, but one I do intend to take.
Yeah, I gotta say the content's great, and I think that too is another great way to get those eyeballs to draw new people in. I think what Ron Don and the whole idea that they have with Splinterlands TV running 24/7 using established streamers and using like hours here, hours there to fill a schedule is great. I try and pop in, at least have it running in the background to keep those numbers up, make everything look good. But yeah, there's really great content out there too, and so I think the increase in available content too over this last year and a half has really helped the popularity and growth of the game as well. I streamed briefly when I played Magic the Gathering. It's certainly something I've thought about doing more of. I think, like you said, Boba Fett, part of it is the technology. It's just wrapping my head around all the streams, the views, the slides, I just got to talk to that guy Axler about getting my setup. But I do think that streaming the game and being able to view on YouTube and Twitch and of course 3Speak, it's really nice and just gives another dynamic to be able to spread the gospel of Splinterlands to new prospective players.
So do you got any shout outs to some streamers on Splinterlands TV you think that you feel are worth watching?
To be honest, I know very few by name.
Yeah.
I like what is it? Butters. Butters is fun.
Butters.
Yeah. Oh, that's his that's his handle on Hive.
Yeah.
Who else has a stream that I particularly enjoy? Well, I like sitting in for Neil McSpadden's like finance economy show. I think that's a good watch. Who's the kid who partners with Infidel on the broadcast? Morgan, Jim Morgan.
Yeah,
he's got a fun sense of humor. So I like his kind of like dry wit. His stream's fun too. And look, there's lots of other great streamers, but either their names escape me. A Spanish guy, maybe BB Omega. He's got a fun stream. There's a kid. I shouldn't say kid, but there's a gentleman from the Caribbean who has a really fun and engaging stream. Bellomo, I think maybe his name is. I'm not 100% sure, but it's great how you have all these different personalities, different time zones, right? Different cultures, and they're playing in different leagues. They have different focus. Am I focusing on how to do the best at silver? Focusing on what I need to rent to have the best cards for a certain deck, or someone's just talking about the different investment decisions they made. They're talking about the different proposals that are in the ecosystem. And so it's just there's so many great ways to interact with the game, and it's just a fantastic place, fantastic ecosystem. Just the value of the competition and the strategy. There's so much to love.
Yeah. Have you
I'm preaching to the choir, of course.
Of
course.
We're all here. Anyone who's watching this is already in the choir. Exactly. Yeah. Pre-fondled, already in the choir.
Pre-fondled.
Do you play in the tournaments yourself? I do.
I do.
Yeah, I only play
Mhm.
in the anytime ones because the time zone for the 8 a.m. start, like 3 o'clock in the morning here, whatever. I don't. But sit and go anytime. And I used to play in the gold, but I had to power down and sold a bunch of SPS to buy Rift Watcher cards, which capped me in silver. But I'm back up to 9,000 SPS, so I'll be in 10,000 SPS soon, so I'll be able to start playing the gold tourneys again. There's so many tournaments like you have to be really, really bad to not at least make your money back. Like
Right. Mhm.
I don't know why. Like tournaments are a no-brainer for me. Like the ones I'm entering because I'm capped at silver because of my staking. Um, five SPS sort of limit, but like you getting back at least 9 for coming in the triple figures. If you're like
Yeah.
doing really, really bad, you're still almost doubling your entry fee. Like tournaments are a no-brainer. I love them.
Wonderful.
And it's some of the most invested players too, right? You're playing against people who are generally playing more complete decks than the people who are playing in ranked.
Yeah.
And so I find that, if you really want to compete against the best strategies and the best players, it's going to be happening in tournaments.
Yeah.
I did make the decision about 5 months ago when they split the formats to really focus on modern. Obviously, we all started playing wild because there was only wild, but I bought some of the more influential wild cards at the time. I have like a Lord A, I got a Hydra. They're obviously they're neutral cards, right? You can use them in all situations. But I just found that I couldn't compete the way I wanted to in wild. And I felt
Yeah.
that I would rather invest in buying the assets for modern than to rent some assets for wild, even if that meant I could, perform better in the tournaments or earn more SPS from the ranked battles in wild. So I basically only play modern tournaments, but anything that I can get into that's not walled by extra SPS because I'm in too high a league, I'll play. So basically, I'll play any gold tournament, I'll play any gold foil tournament, I'll play any max league tournament. But I'm basically priced out of playing any regular foil silver league event.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to getting back into gold. I actually used to do quite, well, I wouldn't say well, but not as bad in gold. Silver, I'm just not good at. I don't like being in silver because it's just so dependent on the buffs. And then when the time is ticking down, you're picking your teams, you pick these cards, and then when the game starts to play, you go, the very reason you picked that card is invalid because you don't have that buff because you're playing at silver instead of gold. It's like,
Yeah,
the number of times I've done that. Yeah.
that's got to be one of the most challenging aspects of gameplay is balancing the different leagues. That was something that I realized really early on because I've always been a gold foil brawler. So basically, even when I played Magic the Gathering, I collected a lot of those like foil promo or exclusive cards. So the same thing carried over when I got to Splinterlands. I'm like, oh, there's gold foils. Oh, you earn a bonus. Okay, I'm gonna do the gold thing. So I've been battling gold for a while, but obviously as my rank play moved up to gold and then max for diamond and champ, I've always just played the silver league for brawls and in these gold tournaments. So I've gotten pretty well accustomed to playing both at silver and at champ. And so obviously when you're playing in gold league, it kind of falls somewhere in between. But that balance of knowing which cards are good and in which leagues it's definitely a challenge. And like you said, mixing up who's got abilities at what levels. I'll tell you one thing I'm really excited about, especially for this brawl, is that we'll finally be able to play with the reward cards in our phrase, right? I've been playing modern brawl for the past 5 months, but I've never played any of the reward cards in these phrase. So it's going to change the dynamic entirely. Now that you have the Pelacors available, now that you have Kinjo available, I think you're going to see a shakeup in some of these brawl records. I think it's going to take some time for people to adjust to the format as it should be, with the inclusion of the promos and rewards in these new card sets. So very excited about that.
It must be good for when you're picking your phrase, having that gold foil. I don't know what it's like in Shield of Glory, but I can't even imagine, because Gio and I are both in Aegis, which is Mr. Rogers' right, that he started up as part of
Mr.
Cross.
Rogers.
And like Gio and I will message each other on Signal the first time as soon as the phrase are open. Because if you don't pick your phrase in the first 10 to 15 minutes of the phrase being open, like they are so hungry in that guild. Like there's
Vultures.
yeah, you've got to be quick. Whereas we've been in guilds before, and it's like the guild leaders messaging, and it's like, don't forget your phrase, but pick your phrase. 4 hours left. Tip someone, pick your phrase.
No
it's like,
issue.
No. You got 5 or 10 minutes, or you're stuck with something that you can't play. Yeah.
No joke.
So hungry. Yeah.
Yeah, for
And
me,
Matt, you wouldn't have that
like,
problem either with the A's and B's. You'd be all over that one as well. Yeah.
No one's filling those.
Well, as a guild leader, it is a really tough balance, because you want to have enough non-players that the people who do want to play can find a fray, but then you don't want to leave them empty as well. So I think we've got a real nice balance in the Roaring Twenties at the moment. But then, knock on wood, we'll wait and see. So we're not stellar performers. We're generally around sort of 2 or 3 from the bottom, sort of coming 5th or 6th. But that's in tier 4, right? So we've only just moved up there. That's the creme de la creme of the competition. So we're just we're up there. We're just stacking the merits. We're all about, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. And slowly, as some of our more elite competitors go up to tier 5, and as some of the slightly easier marks move up from tier 3, then things should settle down, and we'll hopefully aim up to get those 4ths and 3rds and 2nds, and maybe even a 1st one day would be lovely. But it is a difficult balance, between, like you say, there's those ones with the leaders like, hey, everyone, we've only got 3 hours left and we have 4 empty phrases, versus, it's been 7 minutes, you won't have a chance. They're all taken. It's difficult.
No joke, man. Like, it's full on.
So Matt, Shisha, right? Shisha is part of your Roaring Twenties.
Shisha is sitting in, so he's a what we call a casual member. So with the Roaring Twenties, we said from the start, we'll make them, you own your seat, so you can sell it and the like. That's attracted a lot of investors that aren't necessarily players. So the last couple of months, I've been buying seats back from players, and that's often costing me quite a lot of money, because they're like, well, I've been sitting on it for 2 years, what are you going to pay me? I've been buying them back and then just putting in casuals. So I own the seat, so I own like 7 seats in Roaring Twenties now, but I'll just put in casual players now, where it's just an even Stevens, like, I don't pay you, you don't pay me, you just brawl. You get to keep the merits and the gladiators, and Sheesh is doing quite well. He's engaged, he's enthusiastic in the tavern chat, and he's doing quite well in the brawls too. So very happy.
It's almost like it's almost like a whole. Yeah, that's what you got set up.
Well, he's playing his own cards, but he's just a, so it's just it's a casual arrangement where we don't have any commitment to each other. He can leave any time. I could boot him any time if he doesn't perform, but he's doing great. Awesome. So you know him, do you, Duce?
Well, I mean, he plays the same fray as me. But what stuck out to me is just the name Shisha. You know, I like the Shisha, so you know.
Yeah, yeah,
Apple?
yeah.
So yeah, that name stuck out. So I figured I'd ask while I had the time. But it looks like we're counting down, right? It looks like we got
7
7 minutes left.
on the clock. So do you want to?
Is that enough time for a battle, or should we like
Absolutely,
do
yeah.
one more?
You and Matt.
You
I'm
and Matt,
happy to
yeah,
miss out.
definitely.
I'm happy to miss out.
All right. So you're on a PC or a laptop, Juice?
On the desktop.
Yeah,
Desktop?
I'm on a desktop. I got some
Wait.
split screens going. Yeah.
All right. So because Matt's on his mobile, he can't share screen. So a couple of options. If
Okay.
you guys do the challenge and then load up the screen,
Okay.
press play to bring up the rule set and pause it, and then share your screen on that.
Okay,
And
I
we'll
can
watch
do
the
that.
battle from that. Yep. But don't share your screen
Well-
until you've both picked teams. Otherwise,
Right.
giving your opposition the advantage there.
When we got time, we like to take a minute. Everybody looks at the teams, says some predictions about what we think is going to go well and poorly. It's good fun just to try and pick it apart and see who was
Yeah.
right.
Sure. I'm with it. All right.
All right,
I've sent the challenge.
I've received it.
So what is it? What diamond? Gold foil?
Diamond. I did not choose gold foil, though I could have, but I didn't.
Okay, did you choose gladiators?
Ooh, it's so 18 mana cap, earthquake, blast, and amplify.
Right.
Oh, that's a bit. Ooh.
Ooh.
That's low mana for blast and earthquake. That's gonna be.
Ooh,
It's
you
gonna
might
be
have to
real interesting.
Yeah, you might have to go with fewer, stronger cards, possibly. I don't know, or a lot more. Hmm. Decisions.
And Matt does like his snare on earthquake.
Heads up, heads up.
Oh boy.
Well, there's no anti-snare, but
The mana is
What are
the
you doing
killer
to me?
on this rule set. The mana is the killer on this rule set. Yeah. Trying to think what I would
You're
feel.
no
You're the
joke.
killer, Bob. Giving my game secrets away. Juice will be gone. Juice will be gone next week, and you and I are going to sit here and look at each other.
But Juice has watched the show, man. He knows. And he seems to be following some of your battles, so he's probably onto
I
that.
try.
I've submitted and I've just realised it's blast is already a rule set. So,
Oh.
yeah.
Late
Man.
nights. Late nights.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah, it is. It's just
No,
just
I'll
gone
put it
midnight
back
here.
there. No, I'll put it up there. Okay, I don't love this team, but all right, I'll
No.
send it.
I don't love
Alright.
mine either.
Oh, uh-oh. This is not going to go well for me.
All right. Do you want to share your screen? We'll have a look at the predicament.
Oh
that
yeah,
we're in.
yeah. Let's let me share. Let's see. Oh, there it is. Share screen. Let's share Splinterlands. So here we are. Can you see it?
Yes, it's reduced on the screen though. Can't see the full.
Is that better?
So it's taking up
That'll
about a
work.
third of the screen. Right, perfect.
That-
Yes,
There we go.
yes.
All
Higher-
right.
higher res, huh?
Can I do that? This is the highest res I got. I'm maxed out.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Well, let's see. I just gotta hope he kills the right monster here.
We got some scavenge fodder there because you got Dr. Blight scavenging. That chicken's gonna feed him.
Just don't hit my death elemental, right? As long as you don't hit my death elemental, I should be okay.
Matt,
Yeah,
what's your
I-
card next to the chicken? I've never seen
So the
that.
chicken, that's Grenadier.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's Grenadier. I love him because with Scattershot and Blast, he will often strip flying off the whole back row.
What deck?
And so he's
What
great.
deck is he from?
He's I reckon he was an orb or a dice card.
Okay.
I'll have to
Untamed.
look him up. Oh, he was untamed, was he?
Untamed. Yeah, I think he's from the core set. I don't think he was a reward card.
Okay.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
an
okay.
epic, I think, from memory.
Untamed.
So I've picked the Phoenix and him so that the Scattershot blasting all over the place, and then I've looked just as I've submitted, and it's a blast rule set anyway. So
How about we just play and see where it goes? We have a minute and 40 seconds.
Ooh,
Oh, okay. We're running out of time.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to give it to you, Duce.
Yeah, I think
I would need to hit just the right spots at just the right
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
it's the redemption that hurts. I reckon, like, I don't know, it scares me. Like, I reckon you. Oh man.
Oh,
There it is.
Yeah,
that should be enough.
yeah, I don't see any way.
Yeah,
I'm surviving.
Yeah, you had a lot of
Redemption.
ones in there, Matt.
Yeah.
Well, there are ones because I have 3 weekends on the battlefield, right? Between
Yeah.
Thaddeus, Dr. Blight, and the Death Elemental, that's 3 weekends, right? So
Yeah.
already I'm taking away 3 health from all of his monsters. Look, if
And redemption, boom.
yeah.
All right, let's wrap it.
Wrap this up. All right. So thanks for joining us on episode 58. We look forward to, if you're looking for stop share, it's red up the top. We look forward to seeing
That
you
was.
in episode 59.
I saw you just looking like.
If you'd like
I'm
to drop
so
a
lost.
comment in the section below, remember every week, one viewer who generates the most engagement will receive 10% of the post rewards. Thanks for joining us on 58. I'm Boba Fett. Peace out.
Bye,
Bye, guys.
59.